the Capa family, Guardian's fellow, Gael García Bernal, and Prisca, Vicky Creeps, and kids Maddox, Alexa Swinton, and Trent, Nolan Stream, show up at an extravagant retreat for a family getaway. Subsequent to sinking into their rooms, Trent gets to know a little fellow named Idlib, Kalen Jude. And they do exercises like ask other hotel supporters what their names and occupations are. And Idlib shows Trent a unique code to interpret messages. In the interim, Fellow and Prisca examine that this is only one final outing they needed to give the children before they separate, which is exacerbated on the grounds that Prisca is experiencing a cancer. At breakfast, a specialist named Charles, Rufus Sewell, is sitting with his young vain spouse Crystal, Monastery Lee, girl Kara, Kyle Bailey, and mother Agnes, Kathleen Chalfont. Close by, a lady named Patricia, Nikki Amuka Bird, is having an epileptic seizure, which Charles assists with, while her significant other Jarin, Ken Leung, likewise attempts to help. Trent likewise spots Idlib, as they made arrangements to hang out again that day. Yet the retreat administrator, Gustav Hammerstein, makes him leave the region. The Kappas, in addition to Charles and his family, all board a van that takes them to a confidential oceanside. There, Maddox perceives a rapper, genuine name, Brendan, Aaron Pierre, who was prior seen with a female friend who went thin plunging. The children all play together while the grown-ups relax on the sand. The young ladies find old dolls covered in the sand, abandoned by different children. Trent swims by a cavern when he finds the body of Brendan's buddy, obviously having suffocated. The grown-ups analyze the body, while Brendan is experiencing nosebleeds and is similarly dazed at the disclosure. Charles associates Brendan with injustice. However, he keeps up with that the lady just took a dip and never returned. Not long later, Agnes starts to miss the mark regarding breath before she additionally bites the dust. Jaron and Patricia show up at the oceanside also, yet individuals who brought them are now gone. The children additionally begin to encounter something abnormal. Brendan clarifies for the grown-ups that the lady he was with had numerous sclerosis while he has hemophilia, which makes sense of his consistent nosebleeds. Jaron and Patricia converse with Trent and Maddox, who have unexpectedly matured up. Trent presently played by Luca Faustino Rodriguez, Maddox played by Thomason McKenzie, alongside Kara, presently played by Michaela Fisher. A few endeavors are made to leave the oceanside by going through the stones that nearby off the oceanside from an external perspective. Yet every one of the grown-ups that endeavor to go through feel a beating in their minds before they shut down and end up back near the ocean. They additionally notice uncommon things, similar to when Charles assaults Brendan with a blade. The slice mark mends in no time. Not long later, Brendan observes that the body of the lady he was with has now completely decayed to only bones in no time, causing them to understand that there is something time-related happening around the ocean. Out of nowhere, the growth in Prisca's stomach begins to cause her aggravation and trouble. The grown-ups attempt to help her, with them searching for the growth from the start and portraying it as the size of a golf ball. They continue to carry out a procedure to eliminate the cancer, which has developed to the size of a melon. The cut in Prisca's stomach recuperates quickly after the method. Trent and Kara age up significantly more. Trent presently played by Alex Wolff, Kara played by Eliza Scanlon. What's more is that Kara has some way or another become 5 months pregnant inside only minutes. The grown-ups set themselves up for the birth, which happens rather rapidly. Yet the child bites the dust following a moment because of absence of consideration. Different grown-ups begin to give more apparent indications of maturing. However, Crystal takes the cycle a lot harder than the others. Charles begins to flip out to schizophrenia, driving him to cut Brendan to death. The others remove his weapon while attempting to concoct a substitute arrangement of getaway. Realizing they can't go through the stones, Jaron endeavors to swim to discover a way. While this occurs, Trent and Maddox go over a journal left by a past guest, with names and ailments down on paper. They additionally notice what resembles individuals somewhere out there noticing them. Maddox converses with Prisca about whether she and Fellow are separating, Priska concedes that she was seeing another man. In spite of the fact that Priska attempts to account for herself, Maddox is furious with her. She goes out to the ocean side and endeavors to major areas of strength for find an exit plan herself. However, she tracks down Jaren's body, evidently having gone oblivious and suffocated. After seeing his body, Patricia experiences a lethal seizure. Kara then frantically attempts to discover a way and fires moving up the stones to attempt to come to the top. However, before she can make it sufficiently high, she passes out and tumbles to her demise, leaving Trent crushed. It is presently evening. Charles has had a mental breakdown while Crystal is likewise flying off the handle at her quick maturing and declining actual state. She has grown a hunchback. Fellow is likewise losing his sight, and Priska is observably grayer. Fellow and Priska discuss the other man in Priska's life, with Fellow conceding he had some awareness of him and wanted that he accomplished other things to keep their marriage working. However, he likewise takes note of that the other person is a washout and that she merits somebody better. Charles then, at that point, begins to go after Fellow and Priska, while Trent and Maddox are gone after by Crystal. When they attempt to check her out, she follows them into the cavern, and her body becomes curved and twisted to awful points before she passes on there. Priska then, at that point, slices Charles with a corroded blade, causing a disease that quickly spreads through his body and kills him. The Kappas then, at that point, assemble around the pit fire and the ocean side. Fellow is struggling with talking and recalling things. However, he basically owns up to Priska that he actually adores her not long before he bites the dust. Priska then, at that point, remains standing briefly yet implodes and kicks the bucket close by while the two children grieve their folks. Toward the beginning of the day, Trent and Maddox are presently in their 50s. Trent played by Eamon Elliott, Maddox played by Embeth Davids. Trent raises a code that idyllic gave him, which he unraveled and sorted out signifies, "My uncle could do without the coral." The kin spot a coral reef close by and understand that it should be out. The two swim out there, yet Maddox's clothing stalls out on the coral. At the point when the two don't restore, the van driver that carried the families to the ocean side, M. Night Shyamalan, reports to his supervisors that all individuals from Preliminary 73 have died. It is then uncovered that the retreat is a front for a clinical examination group that baits individuals with ailments to the ocean side to perform clinical preliminaries for life-saving medications, given to them in the mixed drinks served after showing up. They realize that the ocean side velocities up the maturing system, so they diminish the preliminaries to an entire day for improved results. They accept they relieved Patricia's epilepsy since she didn't have a seizure for 8 hours, which is comparable to around 16 years on the ocean front. The retreat director and others endeavor to poach their most recent casualties until they are come by Trent and Maddox, who figured out how to liberate themselves from the coral. Trent finds a man he addressed when he was as yet a youngster. Realizing the man is a cop, he hands the man the diary found near the ocean, which subtleties the names of many missing individuals and their ailments. Idlib emerges and perceives Trent even as a grown-up. Trent and Maddox uncover reality to everybody, while all the retreat staff acknowledges they are in a bad way. Specialists come to capture all the retreat workers, while the official takes Trent and Maddox to be with their auntie, who isn't prepared to see that her niece and nephew are completely mature grown-ups.